Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm very pleased to welcome back Victoria Cook, IOSH Category Manager, who is here to deliver another webinar today. Victoria recently delivered a webinar on the IOSH qualification and is back to talk about IOSH's Managing Occupational Health and Wellbeing course. By the end of this session, we want you to know about the course and its key message of prevention over intervention when it comes to managing in health and wellbeing in the workplace, as well as answering any questions you might have about the course. Before I hand you over to Victoria, I wanted to quickly mention a few points for those of you who haven't attended an IOSH webinar before. My name's Joanna Flinders, and as well as introducing Victoria today, I'll also be asking and helping answering some of the questions you have at the end. In terms of some of the logistics for you then, on the screen at the top left-hand side, you will notice a small bar with some written options on them, which are chat and Q&A. If you have any technical issues or audio problems and need to send a message, please use the chat option. If you have any specific questions for Victoria relating to the content of the session, please use the Q&A option and ask your questions here. I will run through these with obviously Victoria at the end of the session, and we'll aim to tackle these, as many of these as possible, within the allocated time. If we run out of time and there's still questions remaining, we'll look at these afterwards and post some written answers online at a later date. So with that said, Victoria, I'll hand over to you. I hope you enjoy the session.
Thank you, Jo. Thanks for the very lovely introduction. So what I think we'll probably do first is start off with a few stats. So if we take a look at the environment we're living in at the moment and have a look at some of these stats. So as you can see from this slide here, we've got 2.78 million work-related deaths occurring every year worldwide. Out of that 2.78 million, actually only 380,000 of those are fatal accidents. The rest, 2.4 million, are from a result of occupational diseases, including cancer. So you can see there an absolutely overwhelming, staggering number, which is actually as a result of some things that aren't instantaneous, and they aren't something that's just a one-off accident. They're actually things that are over time, and they're on the increase. We've also got some other stats on here with regards to mental ill health, and the fact that actually in the UK alone, the UK economy, it cost more than 34.9 billion last year. That works out to be around about £1.3 thousand for every employee in the UK. Again, an absolutely staggering number. And there's a few other things on there, which actually something that is a real eye-opener. The return on investment for workplace mental health intervention is actually a return on investment of around 4 to 1. So you can see here that by actually investing in your business, in your organisation, on health interventions, that's a huge return on investment, and totally worth everyone's while. And it will help us to cut down some of these staggering numbers that you're seeing today. Okay, so if we have a look at the course itself. So the course, the Managing Occupational Health and Wellbeing course has been evidence-based and market tested. Of course, what we wanted to make sure was that we had expert and employer input to make sure that this course was the best it could possibly be. We had technical guidance provided by Christina Butterworth. She's the chair of the Occupational Health Nursing Development Group. And there's a quote there I'll leave you to read just for a moment of some really powerful stuff. Talking through how, our line managers are in prime position to be able to engage their workforce, and this sort of course essentially is the first step to kind of cracking down on this health and well-being issue that we have today. Okay, if we take you to the next slide here. Again, with regards to the expert and employer input, we collaborated with a number of employers. The ones you can see on the screen here are just a few of those. We did make sure that we consulted with both large and small organisations to hit every area. So, Costain, Allied Bakeries, Interserve, and the Kraft Heinz company, as I say, are just a few of those. And again, there's a quote there from Tony Bickerstaff, the CFO at Costain Group, just, I suppose, backing up and giving a good insight into what he thinks of this new course and why essentially it's really well needed. Okay, so the course itself is around competence, confidence and productivity. It's about making good business sense and making the right decisions. This course here looks at how we can ensure that line managers, supervisors, etc. can ask the right questions and have more effective conversations in the right way. It's about proactive management and steps away from, or not steps away from, but essentially tries to focus more so on the areas where we look at issues and try to go against issues before they happen. So trying to look at, as I say, the proactive management of health and well-being as opposed to the reactive. It's looking at healthier and more productive workplaces, and essentially improved awareness throughout the organisation and the supply chain of health issues and how to spot them. So the training itself is broken down into 4 key areas. The model you can see on screen at the moment, it depicts those different areas. So we look at the healthy company, so the commitment to the health of the workforce. We look at health risk management, so protecting the workforce from risk and ensuring zero harm. We look at fitness for work, so managing the effects of health on work, and well-being, so looking at things like providing information and tools to maintain optimal health. The 4 sections, as previously mentioned, are detailed there again. The guided learning hours for the course itself is 6 hours and 15 minutes. That's 5 hours and 45 minutes of learning and 30 minutes of assessment. This course is an absolutely brilliant add-on and addition, even standalone product, but with Managing Safely and the Managing Occupational Health and Wellbeing course, you'll give an employee and an individual or yourself a really well-rounded view of what your responsibilities and what your employer is responsible to you. It's also very interactive and involves workplace involvement, as with many of our other courses at IOSH. I've put a couple of examples of some of the materials there for you. So some of the activities that we have in place. We have quizzes, icebreakers. They're found in the workbooks for the delegates, and also the information there, the backup information is there for the training provider. You can see there we've got just a selection of some of the activities that are throughout the course. So key facts, case studies with risk assessments and action plans, looking at questions for a health questionnaire, and also Let's Talk Mental Health. So that's around kind of health coaching, etc. I'm going to pass over now back to Jo, who had involvement in some of the research that we did that backed up this course. So Jo, if you'd like to take over.
Thank you. So this is actually some research we did with Management Today. It's the white paper that's going to be released with this information, and it hasn't actually been launched yet. So this is a bit of a preview for you guys. We commissioned the research exploring the role of line managers in promoting positive mental health, which basically was to look at the role of line managers and how empowered they feel about looking after their employees in terms of their health and well-being at work. Some of the information that came out of it was that 62% of line managers that took part in our survey said they didn't get enough help from their organisation to support the mental well-being of their staff. If line managers are to be effective in promoting positive mental health in the workplace, it's vital that they understand how to manage the fluctuations of workers' mental health, what the causes of the ill health can be, and how to recognise when employers may be unwell, and how to advise on this when they need to access further support. So these are all the things that can be achieved through proper training. But as our survey results show, many businesses are failing to adequately educate their line managers in these areas. So another statistic that I've got on there is that only 31% of respondents said they feel like they have been sufficiently trained to recognise the signs of poor mental health in their direct reports. So more than half of those, so 57%, said their organisation offers no mental health and wellbeing training and or support for managerial staff. So as you can see, this is showing that people do not feel adequately sort of supported or trained in terms of managing their employers' mental well-being and health. In addition, most cases of the training where organisations do have a training solution, the training is then optional. So 79% of these people can sort of choose whether they want to participate in the training or not. So that kind of sets a bit of the context around the key messaging, and I'm going to pass you back over to Victoria, who's going to talk through the key messaging for the course.
Thank you, Jo. So some of that information is again a real good insight into the state of organisations at this stage, and training, and whether or not things are compulsory, whether they're optional, and actually how employees and individuals feel, how prepared they feel to actually be able to deal with some of these issues. IOSH's position in all aspects of safety and health is that we need to look at prevention first. That's why we've developed the only health and wellbeing course that's currently on the market that equips managers with the ability to spot those signs. Because like any workplace hazard, managers should be able to recognise when their people are both not well mentally or physically. It gives them then the confidence to start a conversation. Some of the most common bits of feedback we've received during this development process was that managers feel uncomfortable with starting the conversation with employees. And a key section in this course is top tips on how to do so. So a bit of coaching there on how to develop the relationship and how to ensure that it's a professional and productive meeting. Okay, if we go on to the assessment section now. So similar to managing safely, all learners are assessed through multi-format assessments. There's also a practical project assessment. So for the assessment first, it's a 30-minute classroom-based assessment. There's 20 questions with a maximum possible mark of 41, the pass mark being 25, which is 60%. With regards to the practical, that learners need to carry out a health risk assessment. They have 2 weeks for completion, and again the overall paper score for that is 44 with a pass mark of 26. Of course, we have trainer requirements for the course. So if I just run through those as well. So if you would like to run Managing Occupational Health and Wellbeing, you need to be at least a technical member of IOSH and CPD in good standing, have 2 years substantial face-to-face training delivery experience, and have an adult training qualification, or the IOSH Train the Trainer course obviously is available there as well. Someone from the organisation must be the nominated IOSH member to oversee the course and act as a first line of quality control, which is your internal quality assurance. I've put a few more extracts there from some of the materials that are provided as part of this course. So we have, for training providers, we've got the lesson plans, we've got the trainer notes themselves, and an example there of some of the exercises in the quiz. Then we've got things like the Delegate workbook. So again, there you can see the Delegate workbook front cover, some examples of what it looks like inside, and some of the graphics that we've started to use, which I think are quite different to some of the stuff we've used in the past. If we come on to the course materials and the cost, so the Managing Occupational Health and Wellbeing course is £1,200 for the product. That includes your welcome pack, which is the printed trainer notes, a printed Delegate workbook, access to the course management system, which if you have any of the other IOSH courses, Managing Working Safely or the Refresher, for example, they're all held on that same system. and unlimited downloads then of the trainer notes and digital assessments. So everything that you need to be able to run the course, aside from the workbook, is held on that course management system. The licence for the first year is £325, and subsequent years' licences are £200. There's a certificate fee of £20 per delegate, which is pretty standard for most of our courses, and a certificate card fee of £25 per delegate. So it really depends there as to how you wish to certificate your delegates. The workbooks are £15, but again, on a similar line to managing, working and the refresher, there are bulk discounts available depending on the quantities that you order. Okay, I think it'd be nice to finish with a short video. So if I can just play this for you, I think it's a great video to end on.
It's no different to running a sports team and needing physically fit people. We run a business. We need people who are fit mentally, physically, emotionally.
There is a stigma in general to talk about mental health, and our aim was to break really the stigma.
Oftentimes people say, I'm fine. They're really not. They're just putting on that kind of face to cover it. Says, what are you really trying to say? So a lot of our posters, plasma screens, advertising, emails that went to staff, things like that, sort of bringing the campaign to life, featured that strapline.
What's been really fantastic is people starting to develop their own things. So in a couple of our sites, 3 of our sites now, we have choirs. Those have been started by people understanding that singing is good for your mental health.
The great thing about Unilever's presentation in the programme is that it's not just bottom up but top down, and that senior leaders get the importance of this agenda.
It's really important that it's seen that senior leaders are willing to be transparent. It makes it easier for other people.
I think it's been a brilliant adventure in so many ways, and really we're never going to be finished. It's always going to be something else, you know. We're never going to sort of stop and go, all right, we've done that, we've ticked that box. It's not about that. It's kind of really embedding it into everybody's mindset that this is okay.
Okay, I hope you all agree that that's a great video showing some really good proactivity and looking at the different activities and things you can have in your organisation to help with the mental health and wellbeing of everyone. Okay, with that done there, I think what we'll do now is run to questions. So if we'd like to open up the floor, if anyone does have any questions for us, we will do our best to answer them. If we can't at this stage, of course, we will take them away and make sure that we come back to you in a follow-up.
So there's just the one question at the moment. So it's from Helen, and she asks, will providers be able to compile their own tailored version and submit these for approval?
A good question, and one that I'm not 100% certain of the response for at the moment. I know that with all of our courses, there is the ability to add in slides and add in some bespoke material. We make sure that that functionality is available not only on the CMS, but obviously with regards to how you train, you can add in your own case studies, your own examples, and potentially different ways of actually training. All of our materials they're essentially a recommendation, as long as the course material is covered to the right level and at the right pitch. And actually, you know, you are free to add in as much as you see fit. But with regards to actually submitting a tailored course, it's a very good question, and I will take that away and we'll make sure that we respond to that in good time.
Can this course also be ran via e-learning?
I think that one follows on from the previous one. Obviously, e-learning would need to be submitted as a tailored course approval. So if it is available for tailored course, then it would then also be available for e-learning. So when I come back on that, that question with regards to whether it's applicable, I will let you know.
And that's all the questions we've got at the moment. But I thought I'd just add to that first point that you made about the tailored version. I recently sat the course here at IOSH, so it was delivered by our head of health and safety. And part of what she did during the course was she introduced some examples from IOSH, which was really useful to obviously help make these things apply for the delegate. In addition, she also got a member of the people team in, so our HR team, to go through some examples. So just another idea in case you were thinking of tailoring it to a certain organisation.
Yeah, definitely. And that sounds like, I haven't sat the course myself, being involved in the development, so I think that might be cheating, I'm not sure. But with regards to adapting and I suppose improving and making more suitable for the audience, those sorts of things sound brilliant. Yeah. Okay.
We haven't got any more questions at the moment, so I'll give you a couple more minutes in case you do want to ask any more.
We will have, following the webinar, there'll be a couple of questions that pop up for you, one of which just asking, I suppose, how useful this webinar was, but also if you would like to be contacted by any of our teams to find out more about the qualification with regards to licensing and actually becoming a training provider. Obviously, if you have any other questions and, questions as a delegate, for example, then of course those you can send those in as well. But that will be sent through probably in the next moments, or it might be live for you now, actually. It's already live for you. So yeah, if you'd like to answer those questions, that'd be great. Okay, there aren't any more questions on the line at the moment. Obviously, any questions that you do have, if you want to send them later on, then you can always do so, and we'll get back to you as quickly as we possibly can. So rather than kind of delaying, let's just wrap up there, and this has been recorded as well, so if you want to come back to it, then you can do. We will publish it onto our YouTube channel. We'll leave the questions open for a little bit longer, but we will sign off now. So thank you very much for attending from myself and Jo.
Thank you.